Nottingham Trent University, working with you. Proud sponsors of Working Week.
Welcome to Working Week from the pulsating heart of Nottingham. Rob, what have we got this week?
Well, we got some pulsating stories, Des. I couldn't resist that story, but we'll be looking at the companies doing well out of a scheme to create thousands of jobs here in Nottingham.
I think that we will see an increase in employment, and by the time we get to 2016, we'll have a couple of our own products to take to market.
And we'll also be looking at the companies doing very well in the thriving game sector.
You know, our games are truly social. You actually play with people and enjoy playing with other humans.
And another industry going up in the world. We'll be taking a look. What was that?
It's going up.
Oh, it's going up in the world, yeah. We'll be taking a look at the growing popularity of mountain climbing in Nottingham. You wouldn't think it was possible.
It's very much a social part for me and my wife. We love coming down. The staff here are fantastic. Everyone's willing to help each other out. It's just a great atmosphere.
Hello, I'm Rob Pitton.
And I am Des Coleman. All of that, which is an incredible amount. But first, Rob, tell them what's to come.
Well, Des, you might remember last week we were looking at the Nottingham Growth Plan, a scheme to create thousands of new jobs here in Nottingham. Well, today we've caught up with a firm that's taking part in that scheme and doing exactly that. What are you laughing at? Because it's taken me 7 attempts to get this right. Did that make sense?
Well done.
Here's the report. Creating new, long-lasting jobs is the holy grail for every economy, and Nottingham is no exception. But building new jobs in emerging industries can be the challenge. Nottingham City Council has developed a growth plan to do just that. An ambitious scheme to help businesses across the city and tapping into government and European funding, as well as private backing in areas like the creative industries and green technologies. Its NTech grant fund has given almost £9 million to firms in the city and created more than 1,000 jobs in the process.
The Nottingham City Growth Plan we introduced in 2012, and it was really an attempt to restructure our economic strategy and in doing so ultimately restructure the city's economy. It has 42 separate projects. Some of them are major projects and big infrastructure projects in there, but also a focus on business support and skills development, which is something that we know we need to do a lot about in Nottingham to make Nottingham a successful city.
And here is the growth plan in action. The renewable energy firm Sasie is working on New College Nottingham's project at Basford Hall. Sasie's had backing from the City Council. It meant it's been able to take on 10 new apprentices, many of whom are working on this project. The company managing director Mo Kelly spoke to Jane Dodge about the project and how important the help has been.
We've inducted all of our apprentices on the site, so we've got 4 apprentices that are actually local at the moment. And to be fair, all of them at some stage or other will be on the site or on the site. So at the moment, we've got 3 working on the site. We took 10 apprentices on last year, and these are part of that group. And over the last year, 18 months, well, I say last year, it was 18 months ago now. Over the last year, 18 months, these guys have actually kind of like become competent in installing renewable technology systems.
And for the apprentices too, it's learning new skills in an industry of the future.
Tell me a little bit about how you got to work for Sasie.
Through Nottingham Job Fund, which my advisor from the Job Centre said, try this, seems well suited to you, and gave it a go, and after a month-long interview process, ends up with a job at Sasie in September 2013.
And you can tell that we're in the middle of Nottingham with all these people behind us. Sometimes I wonder, Rob, what do they all do for a living?
Yeah, how do they earn all the cash? Because everyone's out spending money. It's amazing, isn't it? Well, maybe they work in Nottingham's thriving game sector, just like our next company.
It's a fantasy world of battles and adventure. all created in a small city centre office in Nottingham. Founded 4 years ago by Ewan Lamont and Gavin Rummery, Legendary Games now has 6 members of staff and fans all over the world.
When we're selling our services, that tends to be quite UK or locally focused. But our direct-to-consumer sales with our games, it's worldwide.
From their base in the Antenna building on Beck Street, the Legendary team produce online games like Year Zero and Kings of Chess that emphasise the sociable aspects of gaming.
We wanted to make games where you actually play with people, try and recreate the feel of, that kind of family board game or that friends board game experience.
Their latest game has been in development for 2 years and, as you can imagine, each stage takes a lot of effort.
At the minute I'm doing a high-res model of a tank. I've worked from concept art, so I've actually got an image that I'm trying to replicate this as closely as possible. So I'm trying to get the vehicle silhouette, the angles, the shape, trying to get all the texture that the concept artist put in, all these panels, rivets and all this sort of intricate panel detail.
As for the future, it's all about expanding online sales abroad and exploring new opportunities beyond the gaming world for the technology being developed here.
We've created applications which millions of people can interact with each other with on a daily basis. And they're fun and engaging and attractive. Now it turns out that type of experience has value outside of games.
So it's all looking good for Legendary, and with the online games market set to grow by 50% year on year for the near future, they look set to progress to the next level.
Well, actually, no, Rob, we shouldn't be surprised how many people are in Nottingham. We've done loads of stories about how Nottingham economy is booming.
Yeah, in fact, we had the fastest growing economy in the country last year, but will we keep it up this year, Des? I don't know, but I know a man who does. All together,
Richard Baker,
business editor of the Nottingham Post.
Last year was a really good year for the economy all over the country, that everything was growing, and the problems that most businesses had were in terms of getting hold of staff, not getting hold of business. Things were positive, growth was going in the right direction, government was happy, people were getting happy. Big question is, can it continue this year? I mean, that's actually quite a tough one. Earlier on, people were seeming to think that the UK economy was running out of a bit of steam, Europe still not looking too good, and an election on the horizon. So on the face of it, things might not go so well this year.
And where are our strengths in the Nottingham economy? What can we look forward to this year?
The strengths lie in the year ahead in some of those things that actually government hasn't had an awful lot to say about. That one of the big things that's changed recently is that the oil prices come down. So when you go to the petrol station, you've got a few more quid in your pocket than you used to have. The energy companies have started to cut their prices, and who knows whether that's a result of Ed Miliband putting some pressure on them or them deciding that, well, gas is cheaper anyway, so we can afford to charge less. But when you put those things together, you've got lower inflation, lower prices, a bit of money back in people's pockets, and that could mean that things are better than we expect.
So more money in people's pockets, good news for Nottingham businesses.
If people feel good, if people feel optimistic, if they've got a few spare quid, if they're not putting as much money in their petrol tanks, they're going to think, you know what, it's a dull, cold old winter, let's get out and enjoy ourselves.
Don't know if you've noticed, Des, but a lot of people going past have got tattoos.
You reckon?
What's the average, do you reckon?
I don't know. Tattoos, have you got tattoos, love? You haven't got tattoos?
Anyone got a tattoo? Anyone got a nice tattoo? No, look at that, yeah. You got a tattoo? No, he's too shy for that. Far too young to have a tattoo.
We did meet that person though, didn't we?
Yeah, that woman with a tattoo in a very delicate place.
Delicate's a good word.
Let's remind ourselves of what happens.
Ria, I know you've got some, that's a great tattoo by the way, what's it say?
Thank you. Family, where life begins and love never ends.
What about your full stop?
Yes, I do need to have full stop there, Desmond.
Now, Ria, when it comes to top tips about getting a job, as you have a tattoo, can that be a hindrance?
Yes, definitely so. So, depending on what job you go for though, I suppose. But nothing, if you can always cover tattoos up if they're in like certain places, so yeah, don't let it stop you.
You got a tattoo, mate?
I've got several.
Have you?
So,
I have.
Oh wow, look at that, that's fantastic.
That is great. When did you get that done?
That was done just before Christmas.
Did it hurt? That's the question I've got.
No.
No, you're joking. So have you got any tattoos?
That one there.
I haven't got any tattoos.
No, me neither.
That one there.
Yeah. Wow.
Oh, wow.
Look at that. How much did that cost then?
It can be quite expensive.
Do you think it helps or not when it comes to getting a job, or does it get in the way of a job?
I suppose it depends where you have them. If you've got them all over your arms...
Yeah, because you can't see you've got tattoos.
And you're going to be working in a bank.
Yeah.
With your shirt rolled up, that's one thing. But working on the building site or anything, you're fine.
And what's your name, by the way?
Mark.
Mark, well, thank you very much for talking to us, Mark. Brilliant. I've been holding that for ages. Cheers, mate. Nice to meet you.
Nice one, Mark.
Mark had some interesting points there, but when Des went out, we decided to find out what you think about whether a tattoo is a good idea or not.
Are those tattoos something you'd show to your potential employer?
I would do, yeah. But I believe that the tattoos shouldn't really change the person itself. You know, it doesn't stop what I do as a job, and my tattoos shouldn't change the mind of my employer.
Well, if it's covered up, then that shouldn't be a problem, but I do think that some maybe visible on the hands, face, neck might be a bit off-putting, but on the arms, I shouldn't see it as being an issue.
Jam-packed first half of the show, I'm sure you'll agree.
Yep, but the fun continues in the second half. I nearly fell over there, did you notice that? I have a habit of leaning backwards too much, but we'll be meeting the Bulwell roofer who's actually met David Cameron. No, that's afterwards.
He loved getting his hands dirty. I was quite surprised.
And ever been climbing, Des?
No.
Yeah, well, you might want to give it a go after you see this report.
You get from it what you put in. If you want to do competitions, you can. But if you want to just come down, socialise with your friends and just exercise at the same time, then it's that as well.
All that to come. We'll see you in a short while.
My watch is stopped.
Nottingham Trent University, proud sponsors of Working Week. Nottingham Trent University, proud sponsors of Working Week.
Welcome back to the thriving heart of Nottingham.
Yeah, and in this half of the show, the Bulwell roofer who's going up in the world.
We've moved away from the core skills of many trades, not just construction, and we just need to get back to basics.
And talking of going up in the world, we'll be looking at the growing trend for people to go rock climbing in the heart of Nottingham.
Yo! Depot Climbing's got 11,000 members. The youngest climbers are around 4. The oldest are in their 70s. I can see why they really like it.
Oh, look, our cameraman's getting a bit distracted by that cute little dog over there. Oh, isn't he lovely? Oh, yeah, but anyway, on with the show. And you may remember David Cameron was in Nottingham recently, Des?
Roofer.
Well, whilst he was here, that's right, he went to meet a Bulwell roofer who's making quite a name for himself in the industry.
They're raising the roof at this unit on an industrial estate in Bulwell. These teenagers are apprentice roofers, but this scheme is no short-term fix. They're guaranteed 2 years' work once they qualify. And if that wasn't good enough, the local firm that's taken them on, J. Wright Roofing, also owns the college where they're learning their trade.
On Tuesdays, once a week, I'm learning the roofing trade. After that, I'm labouring for the rest of the week and I'm getting to know the trade and getting to know stuff better and stuff like that.
What are you hoping will come once you finish the apprenticeship?
I get fully qualified and hopefully one day set up my own company.
If you look at top to top, it's 5.5 inch. Yeah.
Is there any particular young person you're aiming this at in terms of offering an apprenticeship and a training?
Well, it's open to everybody, but because we're based in Bulwell, which is it's been known as a challenging area, we linked up with the local Bulwell Academy. The former headmaster was my old teacher, Mr. Graham Roberts, and I just approached him and said, I've got this idea, can you help me take it a bit further? And I eventually became a school governor. And what we do now is linked up with a school, and we're just piloting a scheme now where we're going to take year 10, age 14, into the college. It's what's called an early intervention training scheme. So when they are ready to leave school, they actually know if they want to get into construction or they want to go on to further education.
This college opened 5 years ago. 70 apprentices have been through its doors, from Derby, from Nottinghamshire, from Leicester, and the results have been pretty impressive. All of those 70 now have jobs in the construction industry. With a success rate like that, it's perhaps not surprising that the Prime Minister paid a visit to the East Midlands Roofing College recently. It obviously made a good impression. Mr Cameron later declared the Conservatives were the party of the roofers and the retailers. He even took the time to have a go himself.
He loved getting his hands dirty. I was quite surprised.
What did he do?
He actually tiled the rig. That's sat behind me.
Was he any good?
He was okay for a beginner. Yeah, very enthusiastic.
Jason Wright is the epitome of the working class boy made good. Born and bred in Bulwell, he may now be a successful businessman, but life wasn't always so rosy.
I did my apprenticeship under my dad.
He was a roofer too, was he?
He was actually a bricklayer builder who went into roofing and finished my apprenticeship when I was 19, worked for him for another few years, and then he sacked me on a Friday, Easter 1991.
Why did he sack you?
Because I was doing private jobs at the weekend for family and friends. And I set up on the Monday with £1,000 loan off my grandfather, Horace Hodgson, and that's how it started.
Did your dad ever forgive you?
Yes, we made up just a few years later and he ended up coming to work for me.
With his passion for Victorian and Regency architecture, Jason's CV is very impressive. He's worked on the roof of the Victoria Law Courts in Birmingham, the Arkwright building in Nottingham and the city's cathedral, to name just a few. Besides his main roofing business and his college, Jason also owns a supplies company. He's paid for it all himself, but now he's looking to central and local government for funding to help him expand his college. What are your future plans?
To carry on what we're doing, but we'd like to roll it out in a bigger way. We hope the pilot scheme will really kick off, and if that can then be copied nationwide and rolled out nationwide, the sky's the limit.
So you're hoping this idea of bringing 14-year-olds from schools through the college will be replicated possibly across the country?
Yeah, and in all trades, not just in construction, engineering, manufacturing. It can be, it's a very simple idea, but it'll have a massive impact.
It may be a class of apprentices today, but Jason Wright has also linked up with local schools, including his old one, Bulwell Academy. Now 45 pupils come here every week to learn about roofing. He's a man who really does believe in putting something back into the community.
Materials you need, from the slates and tiles.
Well, Des, we heard the views of Richard Baker, God bless him, on Nottingham's economy. But let's find out now what our businesses think about the year ahead. We've been catching up with the Chamber of Commerce.
Nottingham's been named as one of the top 10 cities for job creation in the UK. Which sectors of the economy in Nottingham are really benefiting? Which ones are growing?
One of the good things about Nottingham is actually the jobs are coming in all sectors. We're not overly reliant here on any one particular sector doing well. We've got a really good spread of sectors, good spread of jobs. And the other good thing is they're coming at all levels as well. So we talk to our businesses regularly, and they tell us they're creating jobs full-time, part-time, which is important to some people, at the top end, managerial skill jobs, and at the lower end as well. So there's a lot out there, and it's reflected in the report.
This figure today is total jobs. But what about net jobs? What about when you take into account the number of jobs that have been lost in the last few years?
Nottingham's held up really well when you think about net job creation as well. So 5 years ago, when lots of the big public sector cuts came in, there was concern that in a place like Nottingham, where there were a good number of people in those types of roles, that it might struggle. Actually, what we've seen is while some jobs have unfortunately gone in the public sector, the private sector has more than made up for that, and has been creating jobs to pick up those that have been lost, and then some as well.
There are some big improvements to the transport network around Nottingham coming up. There's the improvements to the A453 and there's the extension of the tram network. What sort of effect will that have on business in Nottingham?
Really important for Nottingham. We all know the great things that go on here. It's important that a message goes out that Nottingham is here and it's open for business. Being able to get people into Nottingham to jobs, to be able to tell businesses looking to invest in the city, actually, when you're in Nottingham, you're easy to access the M1, you can get down to London, to the north, is really important. So anything that supports connectivity around the city and also from Nottingham to the other kind of key cities in the area is really important.
So let's look at a growing trend. We are talking climbing on rocks.
Rock climbing, but in the city centre, because climbing's becoming more and more popular. And one local climbing centre, what are you laughing at? It's
I
true.
wanted to say something rude, but go on.
Oh, I can imagine. I don't know where your mind would be going on that, climbing rocks. I mean, heavens above, you could go on forever. But anyway, before we go any further, Guy Kilty's been along to take a look at a Nottingham climbing centre that's thriving.
A mountaineering challenge in the middle of a city. Bouldering, as it's called here, is seeing a surge in popularity. It might not match up to scaling a sheer face in Yosemite, but there's enough here to challenge experts and novices alike.
We seem to have a lot of people that might not necessarily have had any introduction to climbing in the past come in and sort of see what it's all about. Obviously we're quite different to sort of 3,000 metres of climbing in America, and it takes a little while for people to get that, but a lot of people, they see it might appeal to them, or they have some questions, and we're definitely having a few more people coming in and asking what it's all about.
Climbing centres like this are on the increase, with their numbers growing from 300 to 400 around the UK in the last 5 years. The climbing depot on King Edward Street is part of a national chain, with a sister site in Leeds and a new one opening in Manchester. It's open to individual climbers, but also holds children's parties and climbing courses too.
We offer some really great induction courses. We have really experienced instructors that will take you around the centre, tell you absolutely everything you need to know. And the good thing about bouldering is it's so easy to get into. You don't have to buy any expensive equipment. You don't have to learn any techniques with ropes or anything like that. You can just come down, get straight on the wall and get climbing immediately.
Which sounds like an invitation to have a go.
Those two? Holds there, yeah. And just keep it nice and steady, nice and balanced. Moving your hands and your feet up, one after the other.
You can quickly get the hang of scaling the easiest climbs.
Oh, I'm not on the black ones anymore.
Yeah, no, try and stick to them if you can, but if you
And for the real experts, there's an even bigger buzz as the challenges get tougher and tougher.
Yep, and that's job sorted.
Hey.
So just climbing back down, any hold you like.
The exercise, of course, like getting stronger, getting like better muscles, and just like how you can tackle a problem, and like the last hold for me is always the most difficult hold, and you just overcome that fear. It's amazing. It's an amazing feeling being able to do that.
It's just fun, like trying to overcome a problem, I think, really. Like each wall is often called a problem, and it's just like the way you have to think about it and get through it all is just quite exciting to manage it finally.
And they're not alone. The British Mountaineering Club reckons 5 million people a year visit an indoor climbing centre, and the number of climbing sites is growing.
Okay. Then reaching up with your right hand, that's it. And then right foot, left foot up as well.
It seems like I'm not the only one reaching for a foothold in this fast-growing sport.
Right hand, that's good. Go for it. That's it. On a little bit further, that's the one. And then reaching up, job sorted. Well done.
Hey Rob, did you notice everybody in that film was wearing out kits?
Yeah, it's amazing, isn't it? Actually, we featured them last week. Do you remember? They're a Nottingham-based company, so obviously they are really doing well. It wasn't lies, any bit.
And what a great show we've had. It's jam-packed. We've had David Cameron, we've had roofing, we've had tattoos.
Rock climbing, tattoos, the tattoos, who's going to forget that?
Tell me about it.
But yeah, and it all carries on again next week when we're looking at solar panels here in Nottingham and a property roadshow coming to town to tell people how to invest in buy-to-let properties.
Well, a lot of that going on nowadays.
Certainly is, not for us, but for everybody else with the cash. See you next week. Come on.
Nottingham Trent University, working with you. Proud sponsors of Working Week.